name is GISB. We have Mr. Gaurav Madwell and Mr. Neil Sahwado, who are the key persons in the organization. The Gaurav will take us through about the idea, about the scalability of idea, and how they are creating a drastic change in the sports management arena at all. So over to you, Mr. Gaurav. The floor is all yours. Just to keep you apprised, we will open the question and answer round. If you have any query, please feel free to ask through question and answer tab. We'll love to address everything. Over to you, Gauravji.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Bishwajit. Thank you, all of you, for joining this webinar. Before I start, I must say this is the first time we are opening up the idea of GISB and our story to anyone, especially investors. We never thought we are self-funded until about 7-8 months back. We were following our own growth path. And that's when we realized, we met the QI team and we realized that it would really expedite our movement and will be a safer move for us to raise capital at that stage. And we haven't talked and we haven't opened up the ideas to any set of investors. This is the first time exclusively for QI investors. I'll start with the introduction. I am Gaurav Madwell. I am a management professional for last 25 years. 17 years out of that has been in leadership roles as the CEO and managing director of various companies in the space of retail, hospitality, food and beverage, real estate, sports, education. So in various sectors, and I was doing pretty well. I had a successful career there. While I'm a finance graduate, postgraduate in financial management, my really key area comes from incubating new ideas, incubating new companies, creating scale, managing growth, turning around companies, and forging international and domestic alliances. Now, a lot of my friends ask me, why did you pivot from a successful career that you had in corporate life to sports industry? Now I'm exclusively in sports and trying to build this space. And this question is quite common, where they ask me, why did you shift? And I said, I want to be at the right time, at the right place, with the right product, and still build a legacy, have that satisfaction that we orchestrated a change. And this idea, somewhere I stumbled upon, and my first introduction was way back in 2011 to the sports industry. It was a cricket Premier League in Sri Lanka. I went ahead and found a club there. It's called Wayamba United. Except for India, it had players from all over the world playing in there. And that's the time. It was the first year for the league. We are building fan bases. We are going to sponsors. It was a new experience for me in sports industry. And closely after that, I was really excited about the potential of sports industry. So I went and started, invested in a company of my own called India on Track. We went and forged an alliance with a very prestigious club from England called Arsenal. If you guys are into football, you would definitely know about Arsenal. They're leading right now. I had a tie-up with Arsenal after that. And then in 2014, ISL, which is Indian Super League, was conceived by Reliance Sports and Star Sports. And at that time, we won the bid. We started a club called FC Pune City in Pune. So just in a space of 3 years, by chance, I had 3 different sports divisions, which I was looking at. And I started deep diving and understanding the sports potential. Now, I just mentioned that over a period of 2011 to 2018, 6-7 years, the more I studied the industry, the more I was sure that this is a place to be for the future. And there's a huge potential in there. I'll take you guys through some numbers to understand my perspective on this. The total global size of the sports industry is stated between $450 billion, including fitness, to about $600 billion by different estimates. And the Indian share is just 3 to 4 billion. 3 to 4 billion out of 500 to 600 billion global industry. That's pretty small. And there's a huge scope for growth. And this I'm talking about is the professional sports sphere. And this is after you see a quick new leagues coming in all spaces, right? The question is, the growth is bound to happen. When would it happen? And I kept researching, talking to people, understanding the economics behind. And there's a huge linkage between the economic growth of a country and its sports consumption, both participation and viewerships. So if you see the linkage, my well-researched view says that the moment we move from $2,100 per capita, which is where we are today, to over 3,000 USD per capita, which also means on a PPP basis, we cross 10, 11,000 USD per capita, we will have an inflection point. And people who still find it difficult to believe, I'll give some examples. If you see the Maslow's hierarchy and the pecking order of essential needs, you first see housing, and then you see education, and then you see things like entertainment and sports, right? So we have already seen a huge boom in real estate and housing. We have already seen, look at the fees that today private schools charge versus what they used to charge a generation back, 20 years back. It's a huge jump. Look at movie industry. So across the world, it's the sports which grows before movies. But in India, we have a very special thing because our film industry is the biggest, if you include Bollywood and all the South Indian film industry. So there was a time 20 years back that if a movie grossed 30 crores, we said it's a super duper hit. Today, movies like Bahubali and RRR are crossing 1,000 crores. That's a whooping jump of 30 times. Now, will it happen to sports? Yes, it will. If you look at cricket by itself, the BCCI auction done 10 years back for rights of IPL for 5 years was 5,000 crores. In 5 years, it jumped to 16,000 crores. 3-time jump in 5 years. And last year, when the auction was done, it was a whooping 48,000 crores. A jump of 10 times in just 10 years for BCCI rights. So if you see it is happening now in sports, we are 5 to 7 years away when we cross that 3,000 USD mark, and you will see the similar thing happening in sports industry across the spectrum. Today, the growth rate is still better than GDP. We are anywhere between 9.5% to 12% year on year. And we could have a few decades of growth, which are upwards of 20%. So this is really the reason why I started pivoting more towards sports. And let me take you down to 2017, 2018. I was already running a football club. I was running sports management and training agency in IoT. I was running a UTT club, which is table tennis, called Maharashtra United. I was running 3 large entities in sports. We were tying up with foreign partners. We were bringing best practices from across the world to India. I was creating players for the national teams. I was doing all that. But it was pretty lonely battle because wherever we went and talked to people, it was difficult to make them understand because the industry was full of a lot of people, like 80% of people are not qualified to really run this kind of a growth rate. And that was our challenge. Qualified manpower was our challenge. Many a times it's a water cooler chat, it's a street chat, it's a coffee table chat. And we say, why is India not winning Olympic medals? And then we ask, why is Indian football team not even qualifying for World Cup when we have 1.4 billion people? And the answers is our federations are corrupt, not professional. We don't have fields, we don't have infrastructure, we don't have academies, we don't have a sporting culture in schools. All that is right. But who will turbocharge it? Who will start bringing about a change? Who will start building commercially viable models? We need manpower. That's the starting point. And more you think about it, that's the missing piece in Indian sports industry. And that was playing on my mind, all this while I was running these companies. And that's around the time that I met Neil. And Neil was a rival CEO of a club. He was a CEO of a rival club. And we met and we were chatting. And he was going through the same process of thinking. And he was drawing the same conclusions by being in the industry for 15 years there. And that's how we came together and started building and laying down the first few pegs of what now is a well-acclaimed GISB program. I would request Neil now to take over and continue with the journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gaurav. So, I had my pathway to GISB was very, very different than Gaurav's in a lot of ways. And, I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I loved sports. I started playing sport, organized sport, when I was 4 years old, and it really changed my life. It changed my parents' life, who are immigrants from India, who felt more connected to the American culture thanks to kind of my sporting pursuits. And by the time I was 16, I was playing elite level football, traveling around the world. And it was around that time I had decided that I wanted to be in sports the rest of my life. I wasn't, being 16, 1996 in America, there wasn't a lot of chances to be a professional footballer at that time. And maybe I wasn't as good as I would have thought in my mind. So I thought, okay, if I'm not going to make it as a professional athlete on the pitch, how can I support the growth of sport? And at that time, I was thinking a lot about football or soccer in the US off the pitch. So I started learning as much as I could about the industry through research, through talking to people, through just internships, volunteering. And I ended up doing my business economics degree, getting it at UC Santa Barbara, University of California, Santa Barbara. And soon afterwards, I went to get my MBA in sports management in New York City. And so in 2002, I have my MBA in sports management. I got my dream job in New York with Major League Soccer, the professional soccer football league in America. And it was a dream because I got to be part of the team of architects who were growing professional soccer in America. And, I was hired to head up the fan development and community engagement department. And I spent 7 years kind of traveling the United States, figuring out how do we get more people connected to the sport and to our league. And it was around 2008, 2007, 2008, where I started just taking some personal trips to India. I wanted to understand this country better. I felt I'm connected to it through blood, through my its country of origin. Also, I wanted to see what's happening in the sports industry here. So I started traveling around India, giving out footballs, meeting people at All India Football Federation, but also meeting people in the grassroots, district leagues, and people running NGOs, and realized that the passion for sport in this country is palpable. It's very high as I saw it in the US in a lot of ways. And the interest to help you see sports grow at a high level was very much there. But what was missing was a little bit of strategy, a little bit of professionalism, a little bit of meaningful dialogue between the bottom and top of the pyramid. And I had been working in that space for so long in the US that I thought, you know what? I was 29 years old. I was thinking, I have good experience. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very energized. And I believe in the growth of sport in a country. Why don't I just move to India and be part of the growth story? So I took the road less traveled and came over to India and got here in 2009. And from 2009 to 2017, I was blessed to hold leadership positions with a number of the top sports organizations in the country. And I was working on projects where I was bringing Liverpool FC and helping them build their brand and business in India, FC Barcelona and setting up their soccer schools academy, working with Manchester United and setting up different partnerships for them across the country. Even working with the late and great Pele, brought him over to India with the Sabroto Cup, a project with the Indian Air Force, and worked with a number of domestic investors in sport to help them understand their objectives and their long-term, short-term and long-term strategic plans. And it was in 2017 that I found myself in Pune as a CEO of a football club, and also running the Liverpool FC Residential Academy. And I was on the side, I was working as a visiting faculty at a lot of sports management institutes. And it was like really bugging me because I was thinking, I've been in this industry in India for 6 years, or at that point, 8 years. I've been working in the US for 7 years. I moved my entire life from the US to India with this belief that I can be part of the growth of the Indian sports story, but it wasn't moving as fast as I thought it could. And I was thinking also, in conferences and in coffee, water cooler chats, why is it not growing fast? And what I came to realize in all of that time was that it's not about money only. It's about people, qualified people with the right business acumen, sporting passion, and understanding of the industry to help grow the industry from the bottom up. And I also understood that our sports management institutes weren't providing the adequate learning journey that's going to actually equip these individuals, these students, to go out in the industry and, let's just face it, kick ass, to be great in the industry. And so that's when I started kind of conceptualizing this idea of how can we create a sports management institute that focuses on holistic development of the individual, that focuses on quality placements, and focuses on catering to the dynamic needs of our industry. And as I was going through that, it was such a maybe destiny that I met Gaurav at a sports conference in Mumbai, and we started speaking about this concept. And it's soon afterwards we led to a 4-hour marathon conversation where we talked about all the different ways that we both individually thought that we could actually create an institute that was a game changer for the Indian sports industry. And it was that planted the seeds. It was that conversation for India's first industry design sports management institute. So we went ahead and we joined forces in 2017, and we set up a company called IoT Sports Education. And our landmark, or we established our flagship brand, Global Institute of Sports Business, or GISB. And because Gaurav and I were already part of the industry, and our vision was clear at that time as well. We wanted an education. We wanted to be the leader in sports education and research in Asia, not just in India, but Asia. And we wanted to do this not just across, in class formats, but even online education. So anybody who's in touch with our programs should be getting world-class education and experiences. And our mission was very clear. We are empowering the next generation of sports professionals with relevant skills, knowledge, connections, and employability. And it was going to be done through programs and pedagogy that are innovation-driven, industry-led, and research-based. It was no longer just Gaurav and I going to be running around trying to be the change makers by ourselves or through the individuals that are in our cohort or our peer group. We have to develop that next generation for this industry to reach its full potential. And because we were so passionate about this and so clear on our vision and our mission, plus we had this network of people in the industry that respected us, that we worked with for a number of years up at that point, it was very easy for some of the leaders in education and sport to jump on board with us. So right off the bat, the University of Massachusetts Amherst, it's the number one sports management program in the world continually. Even now, is just ranked the number one sports management institute in the world. They came on as our education partner, and they've been with us since then, and will continue on for a long time. And then the Premier League, which is played and seen in 200 countries in the world, and very big here in India, they've put up their hands and said, we want to be part of your journey. We believe in what you're doing. We want to support it. So right off the bat, we had these two. And beyond that, there was a number of leaders in our sports industry, pioneers like Joy Bhattacharya and others who had been working for 15 to 25 years in sports, who put up their hands and said, guys, we love it. Let's do this. I've been waiting for something like this to come. So why don't you count me in as a faculty, a guest lecturer, an industry placement partner? I don't care. I want to be part of your journey. So it was very encouraging, very exciting. And we kicked off. And in 2018, we had a campus. We set up our campus in Mumbai. And our first cohort of students in our PG in sports management program started. And since that time, we've seen results that have exceeded our expectations even. We've had 4 cohorts come through the program, and our 5th one is in right now. We've seen 100% placements. These are placements that for students graduates who've gone out and worked in the sports industry or set up their own businesses in sports. Our students have engaged with over 300 global sports industry leaders. These are people that it would be difficult to contact on LinkedIn or even get them on WhatsApp or on the phone is almost impossible. But these are individuals who've come over and spent time with our students. Our students have gone to them thanks to the platform that GISB has set up. We've had 30 sports organizations in India and abroad come on as affiliates. This is providing opportunities for internships, live projects, guest lectures, industry office visits. Our students represent all regions of India, and we even have students already coming from the Middle East as well. So as we look to be the best in Asia, we're seeing that our footprint is expanding beyond India, and we're getting into Asia, into the Middle East, but we'd also starting to look at Southeast Asia and East Asia as well. We've been awarded India's #1 sports management program twice over the last couple of years. And I think what's exciting Gaurav and I the most out of all of this is that we're already looked at as an institute that's on par with some of the top management institutes in India. And a good example is what's going on this weekend. SP Jain, which is a leading institute here in Mumbai, they've started a sports management case study competition. They launched it a few weeks back, and they had 100 business institutes or management institutes take part. And it got dwindled down through first an exam and then a PowerPoint presentation that was sent over, went from 100 to 10. Of those top 10, 2 of the 10 are from GISB. And they're all the 2 groups are competing this weekend. And we're hoping that 1, if not 2, can make it to the top 3. And these are institutes that some of these students have been in those institutes for more than a year. And these are institutes of the likes of IM Ahmedabad and ISB and others that we feel very proud that we're focusing on business first and sports connected. So our students could walk into any organization with the kind of business acumen they have and be able to add value to that organization. And if you look at our journey from here, as I mentioned, 2018 to 2019, we launched with our first cohort of post-grad students, and it was 19 students. We had a small team of 4 of us, everything in our faculty, of course, everything was live on campus. And because of the way that our cash flow works and the tuition structure we've set up, it was break even right off the bat. That first year, we are completely fine with cash. As we were successful with this innovative product and service that we are offering through GISB, we jumped quickly to 33 students, built up our team a bit more. We were online or on campus for most of the year. And then with the pandemic in March of 2020, we seamlessly shifted online. And again, self-sustaining with the right amount of cash flows plus savings tied into that. Our next cohort, we had to be online because of the pandemic, but 25 students still joined at full tuition as well. Completely online program. However, we learned a lot during that time, how to engage students using technology that existed and keep it very fun. Plus, we were able to rope in a number of more international faculty that we wouldn't normally have gotten access to because of flying them over might be a bit cost inducive. So we were able to bring them into the program, and now they are regulars faculty for us as well. Again, self-sustaining. As we were just getting out of the pandemic, but then Omicron came in, it was still challenging, but we had 16 students who were on campus full time. We, again, self-sustaining. And as you see, we started building out our staff from 5 to 10. Why? Because Gaurav and I had a very clear expansion plan that he'll talk about in some time. And we wanted to start hiring the right people to start planting the seeds to build out the rest of the expansion plan, which is why we doubled our staff in 2021-22. And this year, our cohort, which just started about 2 months ago, we've gone back up to pre-pandemic numbers or closer to it. 27 students have joined us. The average age has bumped up to about 26 years old. So it's a very mature group of students. Everything's on campus. And again, as Gaurav has mentioned as well, there's no outside funding to support us. Everything is happening through the tuitions and cash that's coming through based on the revenue streams that we have set up. Now, as I mentioned, this is just the PG program. This has been the journey over the last couple of years. However, we see GISB's impact going much deeper and wider than where we have what you have is just the PG program. And Gaurav's going to talk to you a bit about our long-term strategy. Before he does that, I want to talk about our pedagogy and really quickly go through this. We're very clear that this is like no other institute in the world. This is all about giving a holistic experience for the students. So, of course, classroom lectures are there. They're delivered by some of the top sports management professionals in the world. Plus, we have people from University of Massachusetts coming from US, PhDs who actually deliver 30 plus hours a week of theory and practical education. We have live projects for the likes of JSW Sports, Chelsea FC, Major League Baseball. So our students get that real world experience of doing a consultancy project for some of the top organizations, and they can put that on their CVs. So they're building up their portfolio of relevant experience. A lot of case study simulation. So they're getting their hands dirty and understanding how to deal with the dynamics and chaos sometimes of our sports industry. Our students get a lot of industry exposure. So they're not only getting people from the industry coming to them, but they're going out to visit offices of Star Sports or JSW or Reliance or whoever it might be. And we take our students every year to England. So part of the Premier League partnership is the PL organizes a week-long study trip. And it's one of the best weeks of all of our lives, including myself and Gaurav and Rubens, because you're actually seeing how one of the best sports organizations in the world operates their business, and you're going to a bunch of league club offices as well as agency and production house offices, and not just learning what they're doing, but seeing how what they're doing can actually be packaged and brought over to India as well. So we do this as part of our program every year. One of our USPs, it's an area that I'm very passionate about, is individual mentorship. So our students get number of hours with life coaches on, just individually figuring out their passions, their purpose, their strengths. We use Gallup and Clifton Strengths Finder tests. We use other assessments to help them understand what do they want to do and identify organizations that align with their core strengths and interests. And finally, it all comes down to internships. You can do everything right in the classroom, but if these guys don't get jobs, not only will they be unhappy, more importantly, their parents will be wondering why they just invested that time and energy into our program. So we have a very strong internships and placement cell, which is what has led to that 100% placement. We ensure that our students get internships that are aligned with what they want to do, with good organizations, with good mentors, and placements that are not just with good organizations, but the packages should be at par with what they feel like their value is as well, and what we feel like their value is. So because of the respect that we have in the industry and the respect that GISB has, more importantly, we have a lot of people, we all actually have more jobs offers coming into our program, getting sent to us than we actually, then we have students that we can place, just because of the amount of people who want to hire GISB students. Now, Gaurav will talk about where do we go from here? Where do we see ourselves in the next couple of years? You're on mute, Gaurav.
So guys, before I start, I'll also address Mr. Bulaki, who's sent in a question here, and it's very important not to wait till the end of the presentation, but to address it right here, so that you get a clear idea of what sports education sector is and what sports training is. So what you're talking about is sports training, where we train people in different sports like cricket, football, basketball, etc. They are coaches, and these are students who are learning and progressing and becoming national players. Sports education sector is not about player training. It's about, so there are two key areas as we talk today: sports management and sports sciences. And then it's a whole new area which is coming of tech, sports tech and esports. So when we are talking of sports management, we are talking about people who manage the companies. They are typically like a CEO going down to a management trainee in a typical organization. They functionally look at sports finance, digital marketing, fan engagement, sponsorships, creating a viable business model, running academies, running broadcast. These are management people. And so if you see three areas, there's the management area, and then there is sports sciences. Sports sciences is all about building players. So it's not about agencies. It's about building sports science professionals. Who are these guys? These are the coaches, the PT teachers, the people who work on biomechanics, on sports psychology, on strength and conditioning. If we go to fitness side of it, these are people who are your trainers there, people who work on nutrition. These are people who work very closely with athletes and work on their performance, whereas management people run the companies like in any other sector. And then this is a whole new sector which is coming in, which is tech and esports, which is things like you would be looking at. Gaming, betting is not still legal in India, but it will come eventually because it's a big part of commercializing sports. Then things like creating games, esports competitions, it's growing really rapidly, and India is a big market for this. But as we speak, still just 5-10% of the overall market, or probably 5%. But the large part is sports sciences and sports management. Just to give you an idea, I was talking about $3 to $4 billion market in India. Underlying that market is a huge market of grassroots, where your and my kids are going and playing on a daily basis, buying equipment, buying jerseys, boots. And that market, if you include along with fitness in sports, the market size goes from 3 billion to 30 billion US dollars. From 3 to 30 billion dollars. There's whole unorganized market at the base. Now, currently, as Neil was talking about, we are only doing a postgraduate, very niche program. And what we have about 27 students. Before pandemic, we had 33 students. We are very conservative. Next year, we are going only to 35 students. And then eventually in 5 years, going to just 75 students. We are not shooting for the star. We want to maintain our quality. We want to keep this program very, very niche. We move down. So what you see on your left-hand side are the various audiences that will consume our management programs. So this other one is executive education. Now, this is an online education. There are 4 key audiences which are waiting for a program, and we keep getting requests from them as to how can we ensure or how can we create a program for them. First is people who are already working in sports sectors. They're not qualified. They want to upskill themselves. They want to know more about the other areas in sports. So the first audience is people who are in the sector, want to skill themselves. Second, people who are crossover. A lot of engineers, a lot of people working in other industries have passion in sports. They couldn't do it at that point in time. Now they want to cross over. They want to come to sports industry. They want to do an online executive program with us to be able to, because they can't give up their current salaries and take a break and then work. So they need something which they can do along with working in their sectors and then cross over. The third one is people who can't shift to Bombay for whatever reason. Either it's because the costs or their personal compulsions. So if you look at it, about 40-45% of our on-campus postgraduate program, the students are coming from Mumbai, which is where we are located. Now, obviously, Mumbai has less than 2% of the population of the country. So if 50% of audience is coming, a large part of the country is not participating or not able to. We keep getting requests all the time. So that's the third audience. And the fourth audience is people, because we are a premium program, they are looking at something which is, which in terms of even bringing down the affordability for them, something which they can do online and only do hybrid cohorts along with us. So there are key 4 areas in executive education. We'll be launching, we are right now in the process of building all our content. A part of the funding that we are raising will go in building the whole program. We are starting next month our marketing of this program as well, and possibly launch it mid-April, the executive education bit. We are looking at 50 students in the first year, moving on to go to about 200 students in 5-year period. We move to undergrad level. Now, this is where the bachelor's in arts, bachelor's in commerce, bachelor's in mass media. Just in Bombay, the number every year is about 100,000 people. Across the country, it will be a few million who are already studying in undergrad level, and there's no job opportunity. On the other side, there's a huge grassroots level sports industry, which I was talking about, the 30 billion industry, which has over 1 million people there. And that's growing at 12%. So we need people to get into the undergrad program. And all we are targeting in 5 years' time is to reach 800 students out of this 10 lakh, 15 lakh students who are there. Take 800 out of them, maintain your quality, keep the scales lower side, and actually train them both in a BBA in sports as well as a B vocation. So these are 2 programs that we launch in undergrad level in tie-up with other institutes. And finally, it's something which is a smaller program, which is class 9 to class 12. This is to create our funnel. This is to create our feeder system. This is to excite kids into sports management. But it's not only exciting kids to take up sports management. At that age, if you try teaching them management by taking an example of pharma, it's far more difficult for them to learn. But if we tell them management by taking an example from a club that they follow all the time and teach them the basics of management using this, it's a great product. And we will add an assessment product here, which is about where they can figure out whether they have an aptitude to get into sports management or management in general. So that's the 4 programs. We are launching all of them in next 12 months. We have not considered, for the purpose of this business plan, we have not considered sciences and tech and esports. The reason being, that's a buffer which we have kept in the plan. That's a bonanza that could come to the investors because I see in next 2-3 years us moving into sciences, and we will probably generate enough cash from internal generations by the 4th year to be able to get into this without much support from outside. So this would really be a kicker. But right now we are focusing on something which is ready with us and which we can launch in just next 12 months. I'll now take you to quick highlights financially. So unlike most of the startups, we are not yet another typical startup. We are not waiting for validation on product market fit. We have a proven business model. We have people from the industry who are running it, people from the industry who are part of it. We have already demonstrated we were profitable in the first year itself. We broke even. So it's not a model which has high risk in terms of changing consumer habits and things like those. The second big highlight is our revenue growth. We were when we came out of pandemic, we were 1.5 crore revenue. We are hitting 3 crores this year. We are doubling. We are doubling without any management, without any marketing, expenditure, or getting into a new product with the same product. Because obviously we are coming off COVID, so we are going back to pre-COVID numbers. We are anticipating 100% growth for next 2 years as we launch new products and as we start investing in marketing. There are no cash burns. The only period is just a working capital because you start investing, and then there are investments in the product because we are building content. So that's the investment. It's not a typical startup where you keep burning cash and waiting for the market to change, and someday the profitability will come in. From within 12 months from us being funded, we will be bottom line positive, and we will create in a 5-year period approximately about 33 crores of cumulative EBITDA. The end use of the funds are going for working capital, not for loss funding. It's going for working capital. It's going for investments in content creation and brand building. We need to create awareness. That's one of the key things that we want to do, is to educate people about sports management, because a lot of them still think sports management is about learning sports, how to play sports. It's about managing businesses. So we need to, and that there is a employability in this sector. We need to communicate that and create awareness. Next is liquidity. Because it's an EBITDA positive business, we don't have too much cash burns. We are looking, after doing the capex and doing and accounting for the taxes post EBITDA, we are still looking at around 17 crores of liquidity in the system. And hence, this is the sum of it. It's a conservative projection. We are not looking at sports science. We are not looking countries outside India which might require products like these. We are not talking about tech and gaming. We are only restricting ourselves to sports management for the time being, and yet we are not burning cash. We are always keeping ourselves, above break even, and hence it's a safer investment for all of you. This is the reason why I shifted out to this industry, and we are now opening up to you guys. If you see potential in this, we'll be happy to have you as a part. Neil, did I miss out on something which you would like to add here?
I think you covered everything, but the one part I think that I'm most excited about, given that I'm a former athlete myself, you missed out talking about the fact that our executive program that we're launching in April or May of this year, our first cohort is actually going to be the elite level athletes. There's 15 that will be in that cohort, and these are players playing the Indian Super League, and even 3 of them representing India internationally or at the national level. And these students have actually already taken admission into this program, paying to be part of it at a scholarship, but paying to be part of it. And what's exciting is it's the first time in the world that this has ever happened, where a number of elite level athletes across multiple sports are joining an executive education program in sports management, such as the one that we're offering as well. So I'm very excited because I think it's going to really make a difference to these people's lives who maybe don't want to be coaches, but want to go into the business side of the sport. They're going to get that kind of guidance and knowledge from that. But otherwise, you covered everything. So thank you so much. And we're looking forward to answering any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. Thank you, Mr. Neil, for presenting this idea. Now let's move into the question and answer session. We already have a few couple of questions. Let's take the first question from Mr. Jamandas Bulaki. His question is: sports is very vast. Which sports GISB is going to target? Are they going to target which segment of society? Are they going to rural area? How they are going to advertise them?
I think, Bishjit, I answered that question. I guess Mr. Bulaki would be clearer because he was talking about sports training. So it's not about a sport. When you train sports management people, they can manage all sports. So it is not about we deal with our people are going into cricket, football, kabaddi, kho. We are helping Pro Punjab League. We are helping we are helping people across sports because we are managers. We go and help them manage and build business models. So it's not specific to one. Yes, we do have certain scholarships for people from who can't afford the program. So we roll out about 20%, 25% of our students come people who find it very premium but are meritorious students. So not rural versus urban, but we do reach out to people, especially women candidates, because we need more gender parity in terms of management. So we do it for them. To answer the question on rural areas, and as I said, we are one of our challenges is to make everyone aware of sports management as an area and the employability in there. So a large part of what we are getting funded on, or a substantial part of that, is going to create a lot of BTL activations. We are having a very extensive reach out program. We'll be going to colleges. We are also planning to build a certain IPs, which could be in quizzing, and a very proprietary auction process that we have built. So you all guys would have seen the IPL auctions which happen. All sports have auctions and drafts. We are creating an indigenous product to conduct an IP on doing auctions on EPL, IPL, etc. And we'll take it to colleges for them to understand what goes on in terms of data analytics and game theoretic situations when it comes to managing clubs and all. So that's more outreach program. We do something known as, we already do a series of programs on career in sports. It's a seminar format. We take that to the students. So yeah, there are a lot of BTL, and obviously we have a 360-degree social media based programs, which we already do. We run our our awareness campaigns on LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, Insta, everywhere. So, and that is going to see multiple X movement, because we need more and more people to understand what sports management is.
Thank you, Gauravji. We have a follow-up question from Mr. Jamnadas Polaki. Is GSB going to find proper agents for budding sports person?
So no, this I've answered already.
Okay.
I've already told that it's not about agents, because we create athlete managers. When you talk about sports management, we already create athlete managers. And athlete managers, one of their roles is to manage athletes, but then there are scouts. And the scouts really come under sports sciences. So sports performance analysis and scouting is a part of sports science, who go and find budding, athletes. But this is not agents and, training people on sports is not a part of sports management.
Yeah, the best way to, like Gaurav covered everything. It's just the probably easiest way for those who have a little bit confusion. As Gaurav mentioned, the global sports industry is valued around $450 to $600 billion, and so we're training people to be able to help kind of plan, guide, expand, grow that business, the business of sports. But in that, we would be developing future agents. We would be developing the people who are setting up coaching programs and training programs and other things like that. But ultimately, we're training people in the business of sports.
Thank you. So we have the next question from Mr. Priyesh Darwari. He's asking about the SWOT analysis of the company. Plus, he's asking what's the number one expense area?
Okay, so our two large expenses, one is CAPEX, Actually, CapEx is the largest expense which we are getting money for, which is about building the content. So when we are moving into executive education and online education, we need to continuously churn out content and create, quality content and a hybrid program where they learn at a self-pace, but at the same time have live sessions and then come on the campus for 7-day course during the year so that the learning is holistic. So we are really investing now. A large part of it is in building content, the right content. We have all the content. We have the content structures. We've been recording all our lectures for last 4 years. We have access to UMass's library of case studies. We are now tying up with people to create new case studies, and all that is available to us. Now we need to bind it all together as a content. The process has started. People are already working on it, and we should be launching in April the product. So that's one investment. The second is to create awareness. So we need to do brand building. We might bring in India's top athletes to come and promote. So when Neil was talking about, these athletes coming together in this executive program, guys, this is first time in the world, 10 plus players, current players, 3 from playing for Indian national team, already an Arjuna awardee, and who is also playing right now. So many current players are coming and saying, hey, I want to learn sports management. I don't want to become a coach. I want to contribute to sports management. First time in the world. It has never happened across board. So that is to create awareness. When athletes like them will go out, but we are also looking at very, very, very well-known names to come and back. So we are looking at putting up a board of advisors and brand ambassadors in due course at the right time with the right people to create that awareness. So these are the key expenses on which we are going to spend, not on loss making. Another question from Mr. Dardani is about SWOT. So we have been talking about our strengths and the opportunities which are there. Strength is clearly we understand the industry. We're seasoned guys. We have a proven product market mix. It's not that we are taking a punt on something where we don't understand, or it's a technology which is still unproven. We know what we are talking about. It's not a demand that we need to create. We already are getting, we're already getting students who are calling us and asking for when would we launch new programs. So that's our real strength. We have a lot of friends in the industry. Everyone is just like either directly connected, a friend with us, or we just need one connecting point to reach them. We are very, very close, both internally, both in India and internationally. We service the best of clubs and leagues, people like Major League Baseball, La Liga, Premier League, NBA, Chelsea, City, United. You name the club and we have access to them. So these are our strengths because we are from the industry. We understand the space. The opportunities are very clear. I talked extensively about them, that how much is the gap between in terms of what growth, 20% year on year growth is expected in this sector. We still don't have any good institutes which are catering to them. So huge expansion is possible, huge opportunities there. On the weakness side, the biggest thing is coming because we are category leaders. We are building this category. The pathology of newness is what I call it. We are in a new uncharted territory. We are trying to create awareness. That's the weakness. It's not a proven model, but that also is the great opportunity for us. Because if it was a known area of growth, 20 other people would be vying for it. So the issues that happen with the newness of a project, to some extent, these are the things which I would say is something that we need to overcome, create awareness. I don't see it as a weakness, but that is it. Threat, I don't see any. It's a very large market. It's education market. It's counter-cyclical. We are creating employability. The more other sectors go down, the more we gain from it because it's education and there's no real threat in terms of competitors.
Thank you. I hope Mr. Priyesh that answers your query. Coming to the next query, Mr. Preetam Goswami has a query. What's the current pack? How much fee is charged during the program? with 75 students batch, how much PAT you expect after 5 years?
So our current program, our fee is about 12 lakhs per annum. It's a 15-month program. It's a 12 lakh fee. As what I said, we provide a lot of scholarships, and our average is around 10 lakhs there. We are looking at about 9.7 crore revenue, 9.75 crore revenue to be precise, in the 5th year from only postgraduates. We are looking at a 53 crore revenue projection from all the 4 targeted audiences, which is postgrad, BBA, executive, the short-term online programs, and the 9 to 12 category. So if you take all of that together, it's 53 crores, but 9.75 from postgraduate management with 75 students.
Sure. Thank you, Gauravji. Would I have the next question? Gauravji, would you like to talk about the valuation part?
Yeah, so basically the valuation is, we kept it conservative. If you really see the numbers, the valuation could be higher. We want to leave enough on the table for the investors. I've been on the other side of the table, Bishit, for long enough, and I understand the value of having satisfied investors with us, to be a part with us. We are looking at a valuation of 55 crores. We are offloading 5 crores in there. Post money, it will be about 8.33 dilution that we are looking at. And we want to leave enough on the table for investors to have happy exits, or if they want to continue with us.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. I think that's it for the question and answer session. Thank you, Gauravji. Thank you, Mr. Neil, for presenting the idea. We'll take it forward from here. I would like to spare you from the traffic here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vishnu. Thanks, Ayan.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gaurav. Thank you so much. Thanks, Neil. It was a brilliant presentation, and we will circle back to you with our commitments. I'm pretty hopeful that we will fill it up within a very short period of time.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Now to take it forward, just to apprise, we have done an extensive due diligence process for this idea. We have done extensive legal due diligence and a financial due diligence for this idea. At a valuation of 55 crore, the multiples are looking really attractive. We have touched upon 250 points, more than 250 points in terms of due diligence process. We find most of them almost of them are satisfactory. So, I would like to share the QI rationale on that. Give me a second. Share this rationale.
Before the QI rationale, I'll take you through certain things. Like, first of all, sports is a very important industry, and in India, the industry is mostly unorganized. Now, what they are trying to do is they're trying to give it an organized shape by the sports managers. Now, this industry is gonna grow to about $100 billion in India only by about 2027, wherein the whole world is expecting it to grow by about to about $707 billion till 2026. So you can understand India being the fastest growing in every sector, wherein the only advantage is we are moving very, very fast from an unorganized space to organized space. So there GISB plays an instrumental role, as they are one of the most early entrants into this particular market. Biswajit, please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, sir. So with a current CAC of 67,000 rupees per student with an LTV of 12 to 14 lakh rupees, the proposition looks really attractive. We are processing this transaction through AIF model, the way we do it for other investments. So this is our membership proposition. So you can this three propositions that are currently offering: Premier, Exclusive, and Privex. The current valuation.
This is the route of getting into the investment, wherein you can commit for a particular amount, which would be a commitment, and which would come we will send you drawdown notices for different investments, and so the higher you go, the higher the benefit also goes. Okay, so that's how it is. We will definitely share this in the group, and Biswajit.
In the chat box also, I have shared the commitment form and the feedback form, requesting all to share your interest and the feedback about the session. Just give me a second. So with a current revenue of 3 crore, the proposition looks really attractive. Requesting you all to share your commitment in the commitment form. Thank you so much.
We will open the question answer. Do you have any question on the same? I think all the questions are answered.
Yeah, every question has been answered, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, investors, for giving your time on a Saturday morning. We really appreciate. And we will continue to do the idea calls on every Saturday. And I will request all of your participation. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Recording stop.